Hello and welcome to round 4 of the PauperChallenge. Here we are on the draw. Our hand looks pretty great, except this preordain will really need to find us a white source. Should it do the job, then we should be pretty well set this game. Alright, snow-covered island. There's been a discussion lately. How much do you play around island versus snow-covered island turn 1? And in my opinion the answer is the same. This doesn't really tell you anything because so many decks play the snow-covered islands just to disguise themselves as blue-red Delver. So I'm just gonna assume it's a random blue deck and see where it goes from there. Unfortunately, we have to ship both of those cards and still no white source. So this could get tricky, definitely. Alright, so now judging from Ogre of Bolas, it seems much more likely that it is Delver, but could still be any of the Delver variations and could still be Inside Out or Is it Blitz as well. Alright, so here we have to play out our bounceland and discard to hand size. I figure as much as I love the card, we do not really need the third familiar. Right, and they are gushing turn 3, which is quite aggressive. Let's see what the follow-up is. Delver and Miscreant. That's not bad for them, for sure. And here we are lucky enough to mice up lanes, so that was pretty important. And now we stand in front of the decision whether we want to just play a fam and pass, or play a fam and snap something. Alternatively, we could Fateful and snap something, or hold snap. So there are many different lines here. In the end, I go with just fam and pass, which I'm not sure, maybe could have been a little too conservative, because if the opponent like kills the fam on their next turn, or if they hold up counter magic, then this works out pretty badly. But if they tap out, then it's great because we'll be able to hardcast the Muldrifter next turn. So I'm gonna take the slightly riskier line, actually, and only deploy the fam. Okay. After blocks, looks like opponent is holding up counter mana. So at this point we are pretty sure it's Delver. Whether it's mono blue or blue red, they will have either spell stutter sprite or counter spell up. So I'm actually gonna kind of bait with the familiar, because I don't wanna play Muldrifter and get it countered. I don't wanna play Fateful and get it countered either. So actually the spell with the highest chance of resolving is Sunscape Familiar, because if they choose to counter it with Spell Stutter Sprite, as they do, we can respond by snapping their Miscreant so that the counter ability on Sprite won't work anymore. And this allows us to both play Muldrifter and Fateful. I'm actually starting with Muldrifter so that I don't get it dazed in case the opponent is on mono blue. So looks like a pretty much fine exchange for me, and opponent's Delver is still not flipping, so they fail to apply pressure onto us, and now we can start casting more Fateful and drawing a lot of cards with deep analyses. Looks like they're gonna counter, but deep analysis is a really hard spell to counter. efficiently. So we can flash back the other half from the graveyard. And perfect, 2 more drifters in hand. I can't imagine this game going wrong anymore. Sure, we'll trade with this Delver. Let's get more Faithful down for more life, just to be super safe. And looks like opponent is doing the Desperation Gush play. You know, you should basically always be casting Gush during your turn. The only case where you cast it during the opponent is when you really need to find an interaction. Otherwise, you are basically dead in that game, so that's the spot where the opponents got it now. And it resolves, so I'm gonna go to my second main phase to let him waste the floating mana and cast a Preordain, I guess. Finding me a wall, so starting from next turn we can do some pretty cool loops. Alright, so looks like the opponent is 2 colors after all. But it is probably too late for them to do anything relevant as we find our bounce land. I'm actually gonna just hardcast the Muldrifter and leave all those snaps up, which might be a little too conservative, but remember opponent is holding up this spell, so I don't just wanna play into that and get my Muldrifter killed. Let's wall back a snap, and now I believe it's pretty safe to start doing some Muldrifter snap shenanigans. And we don't even really need to find the full combo. I mean, we could probably win with beatdowns, especially now that we've got Mortuary Mire to rebuy us dead Muldrifters. But we'll see where we get with this card draw. Okay, I'm gonna hardcast this one, since I already have a lot of colorless or non-blue mana. Alright, and there's the Denizen. Since even though the opponent is pretty dead, winning with Sage Row might still be faster than beating down with Muldrifters and playing out all these turns. So I'm actually gonna fight here for the Muldrifter, knowing that the opponent has the Dispel, so I want them to waste it here and then be able to safely execute the combo during my turn. I guess they could have one more counterspell in hand in theory, but even if they do, I don't think it matters. Right, Sigil resolves, Wall resolves, we've got a Snap, so we're gonna go for the slightly slower mill plan of bouncing our Wall with Snap and replaying it. But okay, looks like opponent's got a Sprite to counter that one. Sure, so I guess we need to find another Snap, Flicker or Wall to finish off. But opponent is fully in the defensive mode, which signifies that they don't really have any outs this game. Okay, they are holding 2 blue mana and they did not cast the Ponder, which signifies another piece of counter magic. But let's see what this preordain can find us. Okay, and there's the wall, and this should do it, as we can now put the Sage Row who was killed previously on top with our mortuary mire. We are pretty sure that this wall now will resolve, and this snap should probably as well, but we'll have to wait for next turn to draw the Sage Row naturally, and then we should be fine. Okay, so here he is. Here is the counter spell we anticipated, but we've got that one covered. And opponent knows that we've got the combo, since they know of the snap. So they're not gonna let me go through it and go on to the next game. Which I'm pretty glad about, because the games against Blue-Red Delver can go pretty long. Here we are for the sideboarding. Against Blue-Red Delver we typically bring in both the Aven Rift Watchers, which are perfect to stabilize. They bulk all their fairies, they trade with Delvers, gain us a bit of life. On top of that, we will bring in the One of Dispel against Counter Magic and Burn, and we'll be trying out those 3 Pyroblasts. And we are also bringing in the 2 extra copies of Serrated Arrows. The main reason why the post-board games against Blue-Red Delver can take a lot of time is that I'm actually siding out the win condition in form of Sage Rodinism, and I'm also siding out the 3rd Demonic Wall. So I do have to win by beatdowns typically, and it's possible for them to set up their defenses with like Stormbound Geists and whatnot. We can actually not kill the Stormbound Geist with Serrated Arrows, as the Undying ability protects the creature from dying to -1/-1 counters. But now we've got Pyroblast to deal with the Geist, so we should not worry about it. We will also be siding out 2 Seagate Oracles, since there's not that many creatures they are gonna be able to block. I'm siding out the 1 Negate, since I'm bringing in superior counter magic for the matchup. A copy of Snap, which I'm not thrilled about, but gotta cut something. And now I'm actually trying to cut a land as well on the draw. I'm not sure if it's correct, but we still have a 21 lands mana base left in our deck, so I hope we should be fine here. So let's see. Opponent goes Evolving Wilds turn 1, so not one of the fastest opening, which works for us. Into Ponder. Into a Delver. Alright, so presumably next turn they will have a flipped Delver. Therefore, ground blockers might not matter, but we definitely want to get this fam out, so that we can next turn guarantee to play the Seagate and hopefully hit our land drops. Okay, opponent goes for a different line, it seems. They've got an extra Delver, and we know that they still got 1 card on top of that Ponder. If that one flips the Delvers, we are under quite some pressure here, actually. We are fortunate enough to draw a land off of the top, so that changes my play into... I'm able to play out the Sunscape and Seagate. Alternate line would be to Fateful and Seagate, but what I want to do is I want to have both femmes out, so even if they kill one of them, we are able to do some Muldrifting or, you know, keep chaining cards on our next turn, whereas I don't feel like the 1 life point from Fateful will matter that much at this point. Okay, and there's the bounce land. Perfect. Opponent's got a dispel. Good to know about. And they are passing with counter mana open. So we could either play out this Fateful and maybe evoke a Muldrifter, but then we know for sure that the Muldrifter is dying. I rather have the 2/2 body here because we'll really need to stop these Delvers from hitting us rather sooner than later. So there's no reason not to get this 1 point of damage in. We need to win with beatdowns after all. And I'm gonna try out and hardcast this Muldrifter and see whether they have the counterspell or not. And they don't, so that's perfect. I can deploy the bounce land. I'm not gonna bother playing island and holding up this spell since I know that they've got a dispel of their own. And they are also end step playing Sprite, so I'm glad that I did not go for the Fateful line. Right, and there's a Relic, which typically is not a very good card against us. I mean, they play it and they are down a card and we can play around it and eventually they crack it, but they wasted so much time with that. But let's see, maybe it's good this game because they might be able to exile some of our Muldrifters and kind of diminish our ability to rebuy resources from the graveyard. So they only have mana up to Dispel. So I'm not worried at all about just jamming this Muldrifter. Okay, and a Snap's not bad. Okay, there's the red. But looks like they are not going to kill my Muldrifter. So I feel like I stabilized officially. And now it's just a matter of gaining card advantage and somehow making them crack this relic so that then we can have a free reign with our Mnemonic Wall plus Flicker combo. Starting off with this, and okay, looks like they do have the pyroblast for that. And we still know of the dispel. Therefore, I'm not gonna counter back. So let's just fetch for a mountain of our own once we draw some pyroblasts and preordain into deep analysis. Great. They are gonna pyro our Muldrifter, and now I feel like, sure, I will dispel here. We will trade off dispels, but then maybe the opponent is tapped out and we can do whatever on our next turn. They're gonna Sprite instead, which is okay. I mean, we are out of flying blockers, but we will be able to gain a good amount of life through the Godfirst Fateful. And here's a Rift Watcher. So let us start with drawing cards, get some more information about how we wish to navigate this game. And I will snap the Delver to make some more mana and really make sure that we don't randomly die to some sequence of aggressive cards. We can play out the wall, get back our snap since they are tapped out of Relic. And I'm actually gonna go for the infinite snaps combo, since I do have the FAMs, I do have the bounce land, I do have the extra wall and flicker. But in retrospect, I'm not sure whether this was correct, since I'm essentially giving them 2 extra counter spells. I mean, I thought that I would be able to kind of log them out of this position, but maybe it won't be that easy. Let's see. I guess I'm forgetting that the relic can really mess up our plans with the flicker, and we could find ourselves short on resources actually. I'm gonna get 1 extra flicker down before they have the crack relic mana open. And note that we also know that they have this spell up, so normally I would not mind just baiting with the flicker, like making them crack the relic. But since we know that they can counter the flicker, we're gonna have to find some extra cards to help us out of this situation. I mean, we are very much stabilized, and I'm not really worried that much about how do I close this game out, but I still need to keep in mind that we need to eventually win somehow. So let's try and snap our Seagate just to dig into more cards. What I would love to find most is another copy of Flicker. But looks like we'll be getting just a preordain, which I'm gonna run even knowing that they have the sprite to answer that. So I guess we can trade our snap for sprite and some mana and get some mana out of the deal, which seems fine to me, even though again it's not perfect. And I guess I'm gonna get this mortuary mire and pass. Again, not willing to run the flicker into a dispel. Also, we can beat down quite a bit, so the opponent will have to start worrying about their own life total soon enough. So we draw nothing and they are instead flashing in the sprite, since they can attack freely with that, even though that does not really matter, as they probably won't be able to beat us down from this light total when we still have double Faithful up and a Rift Watcher and whatnot. But still, we are the ones with fewer cards left in our library, so we have to figure out a plan how to break this standstill. And we are kind of breaking, so I'm actually gonna make them pop the relic here by targeting a Muldrifter with this mortuary mire. So we are like 3 Muldrifters down, but we should have enough creatures left in the deck to finish the game. Even though our Rift Watcher also is dying next turn, but we can rebuy that one, should we want to. Opponent is attacking aggressively, which I don't think is correct, since we can now attack with the Seagates. And excellent, we find just the card we needed. Deep analysis should break through all sorts of card magic they have. Which is really the main reason why analysis is so much better in this deck than the compulsive researches that some earlier familiar versions ran. It's so resilient against counter magic. The familiars make it cheaper and you get to account the discount twice, and the faithfuls help mitigate the drawback of paying life for flashback, and sometimes they even turn it into advantage when you have several faithfuls. So it's such a great card in the deck. We did not find more card draw, but we did find a pyroblast and another Rift Watcher, so I'm pretty happy there. And wow, they are counterspelling the Rift Watcher, so I think that's just perfect. So I'm gonna go for the Flicker, still knowing that they got the Dispel, but we've got that one covered. So they basically do need a Pyroblast of their own now, or at least a Scrat to kill the wall. Otherwise, I think they are just dead. And yeah, looks like they don't have it, and now we can start gaining more and more card advantage through Flicker, and there's no way out of that for Blue-Red Delver. Alright then, that was it, another 2-0. I will see you guys in the next round.